All right, so we're diving deep today into the world of F1.
Yeah.
Focusing on Lando Norris and how his season started with McLaren.
Okay.
We found some interesting analysis on the F1 blogs channel that we're going to dig into.
Right, sounds good.
So we're looking at a victory and a second place.
Right out the gate.
Yeah, exactly. Already putting him at the top of the world championship.
Leading by 8 points.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, that's a great start.
Amazing start.
But as we know, in F1, the scoreboard doesn't always tell the full story.
Exactly.
There's always more to it.
So that's what we're going to try to figure out.
Yeah.
Is Lando actually comfortable at the front?
Yeah.
Is he dominating? Or there's some bumps in the road?
Some little things we need to look at.
Yeah, and then we've got to think about Oscar Piastri as well.
Big time.
Right? His teammate, what role is he playing?
Yeah, he's right there with him.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Let's get into it.
Obviously, the points look great for Norris, but the analysts over at F1 blogs are saying it's been a less than comfortable start.
Less than comfortable.
They even said tricky.
Tricky start, yeah.
So what are they seeing?
Well, it's interesting.
Besides those wins and podiums.
Because he's gotten those big results.
Yeah.
Like you'd expect from a championship contender. But I think what they're picking up on is the moments where he hasn't looked completely at ease.
Okay, so where are we seeing that then?
Well, Melbourne was a big talking point.
Melbourne, yeah.
That was a crazy race weekend.
It was up and down.
Yeah, you saw the brilliance, like that call to go to slick tires.
When the rain eased up.
Yeah, when it's drying out. He was the first one on slicks, which was great.
Yeah.
But then he had that slide off the track, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously very tricky conditions. But I think what the analyst is hinting at is that he maybe got away with one a little bit there.
Okay.
And then more telling, I think, was the pressure from Verstappen.
At the end of that race, yeah.
Right at the end, Max was right there.
Yeah.
Felt like Lando should have had that one more securely in hand.
I was biting my nails.
Yeah, you're on the edge of your seat.
It was so close.
It shouldn't have been that close.
And then the analyst makes this comparison to Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher.
That's a good one.
In the mid-90s.
Yeah.
So explain that a little bit.
Okay, so if you think back to the mid-90s, Damon Hill in that Williams.
Dominant Williams.
Super dominant.
Yeah.
But Schumacher was always there.
In the Ferrari.
Right in that Ferrari. And sometimes it wasn't the fastest car.
Yeah.
But he was always there to capitalize on any slip-up from Hill.
Okay.
So I think that's what they're seeing here.
With Norris and Verstappen?
Yeah, maybe Lando has the faster car right now.
Potentially.
But Max is just relentlessly applying that pressure.
Yeah.
And the feeling is Lando almost let one slip away.
Because of that.
Because of that late charge from Max.
Okay, so he got the win.
He got the win, but...
Maybe not totally dominant.
Yeah, not a statement win, like...
Showing some vulnerabilities
exactly
that Verstappen could exploit.
Yeah, down the line.
Okay, so we've got Melbourne.
Yep.
Let's move on to China then.
All right, China.
I remember Norris being pretty critical of himself.
After that sprint qualifying.
Yeah. What was he saying?
He was not happy with his laps.
Really?
He was like, I'm just not putting together the clean laps.
Interesting.
He was pretty hard on himself.
So he wasn't maximizing the car?
No, not at all. He knew he had more.
In qualifying and practice?
Yeah, and, you know, he did get good points in the end.
He did. He recovered.
He salvaged it.
But Piastri outperformed him.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Oscar was on it in China.
It kind of overshadowed Lando's weekend.
It did, even though Lando got those good points.
Yeah.
I think it raised some eyebrows.
And you know, this reminds me of something we saw last year.
What's that?
Where Piastri at times looked like the more convincing McLaren driver.
You're right, there were those moments.
Is that happening again?
I think it's a question we have to ask.
Yeah.
Because, you know, around the middle of last season, even though Lando was having a strong year overall,
yeah,
there were these flashes from Oscar.
Where he was super quick.
Super quick, consistent.
Almost like he had the edge.
Yeah. And I think what F1 Blogs is suggesting is...
maybe that's happening again.
Maybe we're seeing a little bit of that.
Where Oscar's not just supporting Lando.
He's challenging him.
Yeah.
So is there a power shift happening within McLaren?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, who's the top dog?
Okay, let's talk about Lando's radio messages then.
Okay.
The analyst picked up on a dash of entitlement.
Dash of entitlement.
He pointed to a moment where he said, I need some help then.
Oh, yeah.
So where's the line?
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
Yeah, between a driver just letting off some steam and what we expect from a potential all-time great.
Right, because you expect those guys to deliver consistently.
Yeah.
I think it's a very fine line.
It is, isn't it?
Because every driver uses the radio to vent.
Oh, for sure.
It's a pressure release.
In the heat of the moment.
Yeah, you got to let it out somehow.
But I think the analyst is saying that if you're always saying, I need help,
yeah,
it can come across as...
Oh, entitled.
Yeah, and if you're aiming for that all-time great status...
You're expected to be more self-reliant.
Right.
And consistently perform at a high level.
Yeah.
So it's all about the balance.
And compared to Piastri...
Oh, yeah.
He seems much calmer on the radio.
So much more composed.
Right.
Even when things aren't going perfectly.
It's like water off a duck's back.
Yeah, he doesn't really show that frustration or urgency.
That Lando sometimes does.
Yeah, I think it's just their different personalities.
Maybe different levels of comfort in the car as well.
Could be.
Okay. Which leads us to...
The car itself.
Yeah, the McLaren.
The MCL60.
How it matches up with Lando's driving style.
Yeah, because F1 Blogs really goes into the why here.
Why? It might be tricky for Lando.
Even with the results. So Lando's driving style is interesting.
How so?
He really likes to load up the car on entry.
Okay.
Then carry that speed through the corner.
So he's really attacking the corner.
Yeah, like a U-shape.
Okay.
He's not doing that sharp V in and out.
He's smoothing it out.
Yeah, maintaining speed through the middle.
Okay.
But that puts a lot of stress on the car.
On the platform.
Yeah, and the tires.
Especially the tires.
Especially through that long corner.
And what about tracks like China?
China.
How does that style work there?
But China's what they call front limited.
What does that
It
mean?
means it really demands a lot from those front tires.
Especially the front left one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because Lando drives so aggressively.
And loads up those tires.
He uses them more.
Okay.
And that can lead to graining.
Graining.
Yeah, where the tire starts to tear up a bit.
Like little ridges.
Exactly. And then you lose grip.
So that was a problem for him in Las Vegas last year.
Big time.
So this aggressive style.
It's a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, it's great for that one-lap pace.
Yeah.
Like in qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
But over a race distance,
Not so much.
it can really hurt you.
The tires wear down.
Yeah. And then you lose consistency.
You can't keep up that pace.
Exactly.
Plus, the analyst mentions this thing about the McLaren biting back.
Oh, yeah. It can be a bit snappy.
If you're not careful.
Yeah.
And we even heard Andrea Stella,
The team principal.
saying Lando might be better off driving at 99%.
99 instead of 100.
What did he mean by that?
Well, the McLaren can be a bit unforgiving.
So if Lando's pushing it to the limit,
100% all the time.
it might actually lead to more errors.
Yeah, like the car tripping over itself.
Okay, so easing off a little.
Could actually make him faster
Yeah,
over the whole race.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's the hairpin in China.
Oh, yeah. F1 Blogs highlighted that.
Piastri was much quicker there,
He was braking later,
stopping better.
rotating the car better.
So how does Lando's driving style factor into that?
Well, the hairpin comes at the end of the lap.
So the tires are already worn.
Yeah, they've been through a lot.
And if Lando's been pushing them hard.
They might be even more compromised by that point.
Yeah.
And remember how he likes to load the car on entry?
Yeah.
That can make it harder to rotate the car,
Especially in a tight corner.
especially when the tires are already gone.
And they make a comparison to Saudi Arabia a couple years ago,
Oh, yeah.
where Piastri was also quicker at the final corner.
That's right.
And that maybe pushed Lando to make a mistake.
Yeah, it's like a recurring theme
So maybe Piastri has an advantage
in those late race scenarios.
when the tires are shot.
Yeah, because his style is smoother,
Less aggressive.
maybe better suited for that.
Okay, so while Lando's been getting the wins,
Piastri's been quietly improving.
yeah, the analysts even said he might be a genuine threat now.
Yeah, he's emerging,
They highlighted some areas where he seems to have an edge.
like those high-speed sections.
Turn 7 in China.
Yeah, he was flying through there
So there's been a shift in the dynamic.
compared to last season,
Yeah, back then it seemed like Lando had the upper hand.
when he was out of championship contention.
Yeah, but now
It's like it's flipped,
Piastri's looking really strong.
especially in Australia and China.
So with Verstappen having some problems,
And Ferrari being inconsistent,
could Piastri be Lando's biggest threat?
I think at this point in the season,
It's definitely shaping up that way.
yeah, McLaren's got a quick car.
And if they've got a championship-winning car,
This internal battle is going to be huge.
it's going to be amazing to watch.
Yeah.
And the analyst talks about Piastri's improvements.
Mhm.
Not just speed, but qualifying, race management,
That's
racecraft,
the complete package now.
that pole position in China.
That is a statement.
It really showed his qualifying pace
Yeah, he's closed the gap to Lando massively.
compared to last year.
In Melbourne and China, he was always right there in quali.
Within a tenth?
Yeah, he used to be like 3 or 4 tenths off.
Crazy how much he's improved.
Yeah.
His race pace is better, too.
way better. He's managing the tires.
He's not just keeping up anymore.
He's leading.
He's challenging.
Andrea Stelli even said his racecraft is much better.
Like reading the race, talking to the team.
Yeah, he's doing all the right things.
So big improvements from Piastri.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
All right, so let's wrap up.
Let's bring it home.
What's the main takeaway from F1 blogs?
Well, Lando's points look good. There are some underlying concerns.
About his comfort in the car.
Yeah, maybe he's not as confident as we think.
And then you've got Piastri,
who's rapidly improving.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows for Lando.
No, it's not as straightforward as it seems.
All right, so after this deep dive into F1 blogs,
We've learned a lot.
It's clear that Lando's success
Isn't the whole story?
His driving style's clashing with the car a little bit.
Yeah.
And Piastri's a serious threat.
Yeah, he's right there.
So what does it mean for Lando's championship hopes?
That's the question.
Can he adapt his driving?
Will Piastri keep closing the gap?
Can he challenge for wins consistently?
We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, one thing's for sure.
This McLaren battle is going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. And here's a final thought for you.
Okay.
If McLaren can fix that biting back issue...
The snappiness?
Yeah, who benefits more?
Lando with his aggressive style?
Or Piastri with his smoother approach?
That's a good question.
It's something to think about as the season goes on.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
And if you want more great F1 analysis...
You know where to go?
F1 blogs on YouTube.
Hit that subscribe button.
They've got all the latest insights.
And updates.
So thanks for joining us for this step dive.
We'll see you next time.